Who is behind the decisions that affect the future of entire generations? How can we engage in dialogues with them? Do we need to listen to them for them to listen to us? Being young and trying to understand the corporate world can be tricky. But remember, the youth of today will become the CEOs of tomorrow. We aim to initiate conversations with decision makers amidst the ecological and climate crisis to build bridges towards future challenges. Join us on this journey as we unravel the complexities of the climate puzzle in order to find the missing pieces and build the sustainable future for generations to come. Welcome to the Climate Puzzle. In this episode, we will talk with Linn Teigland, the CEO of EY for Europe, Middle East, India, and Africa.
Welcome everyone, welcome Julie. We are here in the Climate Puzzle, which is a podcast where we unravel the complexities of our changing climate and explore the role of influential leaders in shaping a sustainable future to all of us in this sense. My name is Paloma Costa. I will be the host today. I am a climate activist from Brazil. For you, how do you see sustainability and what this represents for you as a CEO, but also as a woman, as a mother, as a citizen of our global community?
Listen, as an EY leader, sustainability means probably three things to me. First, for my clients, it represents a real chance for us to work together in the ecosystem to help them make sustainable choices and decisions on their strategy, on their operating model, on moving the world forward. That's a fantastic opportunity. As a practice leader, it's a chance for us to enhance our EY sustainability practices and upskill all of our EY people around policy, around trends, around the business of sustainability. And as a mother and a citizen, sustainability is a real opportunity for me where a family can make everyday choices to really reduce emissions.
You know, as a young person and a woman myself, I know we always find so much challenges in our work, in our daily lives and so on. So for you, which was the most barriers you faced to become more sustainable, especially in your day-to-day? I'm curious.
I think it can be really difficult depending on your personal environment, how to develop sustainable practices. If I think for myself, Paloma, I'm a business leader. I'm required to travel for my clients and my job, and I try to do that in the most appropriate fashion, leveraging, for example, Teams and Zoom and all types of technology to make travel maybe less important, but I'll be honest with you, it's still required. And I think that's a great example of how each one of us needs to adapt sustainability for our own personal environment, depending where we live and how we live. I'll give you an example. If you live in the city, it's maybe easier to leverage good, safe, reliable public transportation as maybe it is if you live in a more rural setting. Depending where you live, you can make better choices or different choices, for example, on what you eat and what your food choices are. And so we need to understand that sustainability is super personalized. Each one of us needs to make really good choices every day to really make a difference. And I think that's really important. I know that we did a survey recently with Junior Achievement talking about generational sustainability, and you raise a really good point about young people wanting to contribute. And we understand that 50% of the people that responded to the survey across the generations pointed to the cost of a sustainable lifestyle, and that being the primary barrier for them in achieving sustainability.
I remember myself included in 2019 when I had the opportunity to talk with decision makers and political leaders across the world. I said to everyone, I'm not ready and I will not work for companies that are polluting, that don't have like a plan on woman inclusion, salaries that are equal, that have the respect for the social environment that we live in. Like, I don't think my activism can relate to that. But as you said, it is hard at some points, and this I see from my friends that doesn't have the same opportunities. For example, back in the Amazon, sometimes they don't have a choice to work or work not for a mining company, for example. It is the only option that they have in the reality. Does this make... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I agree. It's the only option they have, and then you can't fault them for that. It's exactly what I see. It's different for every person. We just need to try to raise the bar for everyone, Paloma.
Exactly. But this is so disappointing, because sometimes we feel, whoa, I don't have an option, so should I end up in this? Or should I create my own business? And I think like a lot of us who had the ability to create our own initiatives, we are doing that, but maybe we don't have the same reach. And that's why I think opportunities like this, to talk with someone like you who have been on the top and commanding and really leading different people, it is a talk that we might have. If we raise the bar, like, so how can, for example, you believe that young people can prepare for green jobs, for sustainable future? And this, of course, thinking there is different realities and so on, and we all know education is a key step to that. But how do you see, and especially taking the experience you have back in EI, I know you guys work with next generation and different initiatives and empowering women and young people, but how can we prepare, taking into consideration we have such different realities?
I think that's a really great question, and I think it's a tough question, Paloma, because if we're honest, I don't know about you, but my crystal ball doesn't really tell us, what the sustainability jobs of the future are going to look like. I do know a few things, though, and maybe this is helpful. Last year, we did, again, a report with EY and Junior Achievement, and we looked at really the future of work for younger generations. And I know that 53% of Gen Z respondents, they're really looking for organizations to help them prepare and look at trends like automation, globalization, and even new work norms. These are just a few of the skills that I'm confident next generation workers are really going to need, no matter how the field of sustainability develops. But I think we should be preparing our younger generation in a number of ways, not just in terms of work experience from organizations like EY, but also in terms of teaching them things that are necessary for future jobs. And those skills for future jobs really needs to make sure that our school systems are embedding sustainability and sustainable learning effectively in every subject, to give them a comprehensive understanding of what's going on the interconnectedness of sustainable practices. That means if you look at some of the curriculums, it would be embedding sustainability in some of that, like social studies and history, making sure that people understand and young people understand the historical context of sustainability and how human civilization has interacted with the environment over time. Or how about embedding it into math, where we could use real-world data on energy consumption, waste production, carbon footprints, for example, to really teach mathematical concepts. And if you're older or more mature as a student, you could even calculate carbon emissions or analyze trends and propose some strategies for how to reduce environmental impact.
And we've been thinking a lot on how to ground knowledge here. And we understand that, at least this is something we say a lot. And here in my region, in Latin America, and especially in Brazil, in the Amazon, that if we want a forest, And a forest to exist, it is because seeds grow together. And young people, children, we are seeds. We are growing together. And how can we grow and into a forest, into a sustainable environment? But I think you know that you are one out of 1,000 leaders that have the will and the passion and the opening to talk with young people. This is not the common stage, at least from where I see. Sometimes it is so difficult. People have such a difficult agenda, and I imagine you have to make your time, like as a business person that is such a busy day, to have this talk with me. And I know you made an effort. But do you think, like, within the discussions around climate collapse that the Secretary General of the United Nations mentioned, we are already on it, with young people coming to the streets, but out of the streets coming to courts, coming to actual proposals on implementation, do you think leaders, CEOs, they are being more open to talk with young people and construct with them? Because knowledge has never been a one-way thing, right? It is something that we co-construct together.
I love your analogy. I think, Paloma, that is the best analogy I've ever heard, that we're all trees in the forest and need to grow together, that you need the seedlings as well as the older trees to really make a good forest and to keep it growing. And I have to say, that's how I feel about the younger generation. We need you. We need their voices at the table to teach us things that maybe we've forgotten, maybe we never knew. We need them to inspire us, to remind us of all the good in the world, their positivity, their focus on purpose, and their innovation. This is why we need each other, and we need business leaders to make time to understand the world today, or the world that we are leaving as a legacy, will be powered by them. Working together in that forest, as you say, Paloma, that's how we're going to make a real difference. Listening to each other, to the different points of view, but bringing them together and leveraging the power of both. The experience of the rich old hardwoods, as you would say, together with the seedlings, is what's going to make us great and sustainable for the future.
What would you say, like, for young girls across the planet, like, if they want to be in this position of leading, coming more broad on what does it mean leading, political, companies, whatever, what would you say to them?
I think we have to take some inspiration from the young women who are already on the front lines changing the world. Paloma, like yourself. You know, last year at EY, we run a global ideathon asking people how to solve some food insecurity issues. And you might know, especially with the war in Ukraine, food security has become more and more an issue, not just because of geopolitical, but also because of climate change. We had so many responses from scientists and running companies, but do you know that our winners, they were women? 2 of them were Kenyan female entrepreneurs, both under 30, and they were amazing. One of them, Joyce, she grew up in a village where she could see that the local farmers couldn't produce enough food because they couldn't afford fertilizer. So she founded Eco-Rich Solutions, a fantastic company that produces organic fertilizer made from household waste at 30% of the cost. For her neighbors and for Kenya's smallhold farmers, this is truly life-changing. Just think about that. If we could not let the circumstances of our young women stop them, I know that they can make a huge difference. They can learn about the environment. They can speak up for what they believe in. They can find role models, and there are role models. Paloma, yourself, Joyce from Kenya are just 2. But they also can learn from others. And there's a huge ecosystem out there growing in terms of identifying and sharing best practices. They can dream big. And Paloma, in my experience, I have my own daughter, women and girls can really dream big and see the future. If we can get them to stay curious, to keep learning, and to share, I think it'll make a huge difference. And maybe just one last point that's important to me. I want to make sure that we see our girls grow into great women equally in STEM, around science, tech, engineering, and math. These fields are super important and super useful in combating and fighting together climate change and driving a more sustainable world. Having that background makes a fantastic difference, and I know we as EY are investing substantially in that.
I don't know, I feel we still face a community that is so, patriarchal somehow. I had sometimes in tables that I had the opportunity to be in, that was like decision makers, me, and different activists. Normally, when I was speaking, people were not even giving like the real attention, the real look and the real, I don't know, the real importance I was hoping to see. And then when someone, like for example, from a different reality than me, that was a male, that was from different parts. Like I see that I work with one of my best friends. He is from France, and he has like 2 meters, and he's amazing. He's an amazing activist, like all of us. But sometimes, like we had to understand when we need to have like the real, which is me, and he is also the real, and the serious, which had to be him, because I am like a woman with color from Brazil, from Latin America, and sometimes people don't give the real and the same attention, and this is so difficult to see. How did you like find your voice in this space? That is also like CEOs, they are so actually still males, old.
Paloma, don't give up. I think the world has changed massively in the span of my career. It's changing, and as we go through generation changes now, there are CEOs that are open and they are listening and they hear the challenges. Don't give up, and continue to partner with your friends, some of who are male. Together you'll make a fantastic team, and that will help propel you to the front. I would also ask, if I could, Paloma, never forget that behind you there's generations of young girls that are looking to you as the inspiration, and you are inspiring. Being an activist, finding your voice, fighting every day for what you think is right is incredibly inspiring. And I know that there are fantastic young girls and women that are following in your footsteps.
No, you said it all. I mean, it's such a responsibility, right? To represent and to open a space for different people. And I believe as young people, we are making this thing done, like because of the work that I had the privilege to do. And lots of my friends from my reality, they also were able to be in different spaces, to raise their voice, to be confident enough to raise their voice. I see the importance of that. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed to have this responsibility, but I think it's something that we can, it is our job, somehow it is our job to keep doing that. But I also feel it is true that we are changing, maybe not as fast as we should. And I know you feel the pressure because, as you said, and as I heard, you also have your daughter and sons and so on. And I know there is this pressure at home as well, that we are bringing the climate collapse to every space in the planet. So everyone is like, and thinking of like reaching and amplifying our impact on. How do you see, for example, and especially with the work that you know so well that you are leading, and how can we support this community in the sense like you are producing data, you have resources to support on this. We have people on ground like Joy, like me, like different people that are making and implementing these solutions. That, to be honest, that my friends in the Amazon, they always, they are such like philosophers. They always say it's like, if there is a forest here, it's because someone, us, we are standing with this forest, and sometimes with their bodies against violent systems and so on. And it's hard to be motivated. So how do you think like And we can use this strategy on data, on resources, on the diversity to really construct, a space to support, for example, governments, universities, to bring up climate solutions on ground, that they are implemented somehow, and that this become literacy, that this become public policies, that this becomes something that is happening actually ongoing. Because I think what scares me the most is that we have all the solutions we need, but we are not doing them. And how can we?
And I think part of that is really, as you said, it's built in education. We need to find a way to take all this data and information and not just keep it within an NGO space or a corporate space, but make sure that we're baking it back into our educational institutions so that we can give that information, that data, to people that need it and can need it for the future. I think the more we do that, the more we can really make sure that the upcoming generations are already embedded with that knowledge, that we use that as proof points for governments to help make the right decisions, supporting all the efforts that you're doing from an activism perspective.
I know I have to be wrapping up, but I do have a question before you leave your final message. And I think this is a question everyone always have when we are talking with someone like you. Is there, and there is so much alternatives to that, like boards and youth councils and so on. I don't know how EI work with that, but how can, like, that's the question. How can we work and support directly your work as a youth community? Is there any ways we can support it?
Oh, I think frankly, I think you already are supporting, but I think the more we can do together to make sure that we're reaching the younger generation and helping them find their voice, Paloma, the better off we're going to be for their future. That younger generation needs to be inspired. We need to give them the right education, the right visibility, and the right opportunity. But I know if we get them involved, they're going to create a chain reaction that's going to be impossible to stop as we move towards sustainability. Having you help inspire that voice and having us make sure that we're motivated to listen is going to bring the best of that forest together that you talked about previously.
Thank you. And do you want to leave a final message to the listeners?
My final message to the listeners, probably I would say, sustainability is everywhere. And the core to us solving the challenge, there is not a one single bullet, Paloma. It's many of us working together to make sure that we're bringing older generations, younger generations, on a foundation of great skills to solve the challenge of the future and listen to each other. If we can get that, there's nothing that's going to stop us.
Aw, thank you so much. Well, as we reach the end of the episode, The Climate Puzzle, we reflect on this urgency and potential positive changes in our fight against the climate collapse. Through the stories and insights shared here and by Julie and by me as well, we have gained a more deeper understanding of the challenges we face and the innovative solutions we pursue. Let us remember that we all have a role to play in creating a sustainable future, whether through personal choices from what we consume, from information to products, activism, or really supporting business and initiatives that prioritize the planet that we live in. We can piece together the climate change puzzle and pave the way for a greener, more resilient world. Thank you for joining us, and we are looking forward to contributing this journey with you and to continue on in all of this process together, because there is no way out of this planet. We are a global community. And I invite everyone to listen to the episodes of The Climate Puzzle. And I thank you so much, Julie, for your time, for your energy, and for your passion. I know you are changing and pathing the world for young girls like me, and I know we will build together a global community, a better place for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paloma. It was fantastic. You're just such an inspiration to all of us. Thank you, and I really mean that.
Was it easy to decode this suit? Our challenge is to build bridges with all the social actors whose decisions have a huge impact and try to create a more sustainable present and future. The only way to save our planet is by working together. Did you solve the puzzle?